There are two key different types of tests. You've got aptitude, which means can you do something? Do you have a level of knowledge or a level of skill in a specific subject? To bring that to life, what we use in the co-op for our apprentices is functional skills. So we're testing people's maths and English. In those tests, there is a benchmark. You are either you're a pass or you're a fail. Those are those aptitude tests. They'll give you a really good, as an employer, a really good picture. Can someone do the job that you're asking them to do in the right way? That could come through numerical reasoning. So you might have heard of them before. You might have heard of verbal reasoning, or logical, or abstract, or diagrammatical. Those three things are the same thing. One of the key parts around aptitude tests is around practice. You will never know exactly what questions are going to come through. Most online tests probably pull from a bank of 10,000 questions. So every candidate that does the test will do a different test, but it's benchmarked at the same level. The only way, in my experience, that you can really tune into the test and put yourself in the best position to pass it as such is to practice. So online tests, just quickly on that one, you do have your personality profiles. The biggest piece of advice I could give you on this is be yourself. Do not try and be somebody or pretend that you are somebody that you think the company wants. You've got to be true to yourself, because to be perfectly honest, if you answer some questions as you and true to you, and you answer some questions which you think that I want to hear that, or you think that you should be that, you can tell them in a report and a score, and actually it becomes very obvious to those candidates who aren't necessarily right for our business. And the other thing I would say is on personality profiles is wherever you can, get the results and get some feedback from the business on those tests, purely because they can be really helpful to your self-awareness and actually helping you understand what is right for me and what type of jobs might I look to go into. And using that insight to develop yourself can be really, really valuable. Telephone interviews and video interviews should be approached in the same way you would approach a face-to-face interview, as if you were going to meet the hiring manager yourself. A telephone interview is, as it says on the tin, someone will call you up or you'll be invited to dial into a call, and they will effectively ask you a number of questions over the phone, which can be positioned as competency. So that could be, tell me about a time when. It could be behavioral, which essentially means it puts you in a simulated scenario. So if this happened, how would you react? And it could actually be some really basic questions like, do you actually know you're applying to this job? Do you know where it is? How are you going to get to work? So it can really take different forms. But there's no real difference apart from the video piece, which obviously looks and feels a little bit like this potentially now. There's no real difference in the questions that you're going to ask on a video interview. So with a telephone and a video interview, they serve a purpose. Telephone interviews are very much still the theme, and very much widely used, although video interviews are very much starting to kind of become on the incline in terms of a selection tool. But don't be nervous. It can be it might sound really weird to sit in front of a laptop with no one else on the other end of it, in front of a webcam where you can see yourself, but you can't see the person who's sitting on the end of that. Most of the time, if not all of the time, when doing a video interview, unless it's live, there is nobody sat on the other end of that in that moment. It's pre-recorded and it's picked up by someone in the recruitment team further down the line. So if you can, dress smartly. And that's not because, oh God, an employer is going to be sat there looking at the wallpaper and thinking, that's not the kind of person I want. That's not how it works. But interestingly so, by dressing smartly, it changes your mental attitude towards that interview and you take it more seriously.
And while we're talking about those video interviews, is in one of our masterclasses recently, one of the employers we worked with said, which I thought was a really good point, is when you're thinking of an answer, usually I'm doing it now, I'm talking and I think and I look up to the sky and that's fine and that's a normal way of talking. There's literally nothing to stop you students from having some notes up about the company, the key business values up behind your laptop, behind wherever you're doing the video interview, just as triggers.